Hey everybody, in this video I'll show you 5 more beginner punk songs so you can get up and going playing punk rock guitar right away. The songs are all in standard tuning, and here we go. Alright, so just a quick note before we begin. I'm using my Fender Twin Reverb 65 reissue amp, and I'm using a Rat distortion pedal for my crunch. I've got Amazon links for both of these items in the description of the video if you want to check them out. Alright, so the first song we're going to do is the first song on X's first album, Los Angeles. It's Your Phone's Off the Hook, But You're Not. And the main riff goes like this. Alright, so the whole riff is in these 3-note power chords. So we're going to start on a power chord rooted at the 11th fret of the A string, and we're going to bridge our ring finger across the 13th fret of the D and G strings, or you can play it with your ring and pinky if that's more comfortable for you on the D and G. And what I like to do when I'm playing these power chords is I will use the tip of my index finger to mute the bottom string, the low E string, and that way we don't get that string ringing out while we're playing. That's what it sounds like if you let that string ring out. Now if we mute it with the tip of our finger, if we hit it by accident, we just get the good chord. Now when I'm playing, I'm only going to be trying to hit the 3 strings, the A, D, and G strings. But if I'm playing fast, or if you're playing live and you're getting a little wild with your picking, if you mute that low E string with the tip of your finger, you're not going to get it to ring out and it's not going to sound bad. So we're going to play that first power chord, then we're going to slide up to a power chord rooted at the 12th fret of the A string. So it sounds like... So we do it 3 times, and I like to use alternate picking. But if you're just starting and it's too hard for you to use alternate picking, you can try and do fast downstrokes. So we're going to do that slide part 3 times, and we're going to move down to a power chord rooted at the 10th fret of the A string, and then the 9th fret of the A string. So slowly it sounds like... Alright, so for the next song we're going to do I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges off of the Stooges record. And this song is going to be 3-note power chords as well, but we're going to play it just a little differently. So here's how the intro and the main riff goes. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt this video, but if you are liking my videos and you're new to guitar and you want to learn the basics, check out my beginner guitar video series on YouTube. Put a link up here. This video series is intended to take you from scratch, like never playing guitar before, up to proficiency with an emphasis on like rock or punk style guitar playing. So that's it, and back to the video. Alright, so we're going to start off with 3-note power chords. This time they are going to be rooted on the low E string, the bottom string. So we're going to start with one rooted at the 3rd fret of the low E, and then we're going to bridge our ring finger across the 5th fret of the A and D string. Then we're just going to move down 1 fret. And then we're going to play an open power chord on the low E string. So we're going to switch our fingers instead of the standard power chord form. We're going to use our index and middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A and D string and just let the low E ring out by itself open without any fretting fingers. And it's just going to hang there for a while. Now, Ron Ashton's using a wah-wah pedal on this, so that's what gives it that kind of effect, but you can just play it without. And then it kind of hangs there for a bit, and then there's like this kind of guitar fill, and then it goes into the main riff. And so for the main riff, we are going to play a 3-note power chord like we did before, rooted on the A string. So our index finger is going to be at the 10th fret of the A, and our ring finger is going to be bridged across the 12th fret of the D and G strings. But we're going to make this a little noisy, and we're actually going to do the opposite of what I told you in the first song, and we're going to play that open low E string. And we're going to get that kind of discordant kind of sound that the Stooges get. So we're going to start off at the 10th fret, move down to the 9th fret, and then move down to the 7th fret. And that whole time we're letting that low E ring, and we're strumming using alternate strumming. And the reason that this kind of works is because this chord, this power chord, is an E. That's the 7th fret here is an E, and the low E string is obviously an E. So that's basically just kind of like an inverted, thickened up power chord. So it kind of works. You get this kind of discordant sound to start, and then we kind of resolve it on the E. So slowly on that riff. All right, so the next song we're going to do is Abolish Government by TSOL. It's off their first EP on Posh Boy, and then I think it was later released on like a compilation type CD. And the intro riff goes like this. So we're going to start again with a 3-note power chord with our index finger rooted on the 7th fret of the A string, ring finger bridged across the 9th fret of the D and G strings. Then we're going to go up to the 12th fret, then up to the 13th fret, then down to the 10th fret. So. Then the last time through, we're going to end 9th fret, 8th fret. So slowly all the way through it. All right, so the next one we're going to do is Hope by the Descendants off the Milo Goes to College record. This one has more than power chords. We've actually got a minor bar chord and major bar chords in it. So it goes like this. All right, so we're going to actually start off with our fingers in a minor bar chord format. And I know this can be kind of tricky for new guitar players, so if you have a hard time playing a minor bar chord, you could actually just play the power chord. You could play power chords throughout the whole thing. So what we're going to do is, if you want to try and play the minor chord, we're going to bridge our index finger across the 2nd fret, all the way across the neck. And then we're going to play with our ring finger and pinky at the 4th fret of the A and D string. And we're going to start off basically by playing more of the lower strings on this, like maybe the bottom 3 or 4 strings. And you can kind of hear that minor chord a little bit in there. And then the third time we strum, it's going to be more of a full strum. Then we're just going to go to a power chord, 4th fret root on the A string to 5th fret root on the A string. So. And then we're going to go to a major A chord. So we're going to have our index finger bridged all the way across the neck. Again, you can play it a power chord. So if you want to play just a power chord, you can just use your index finger at the 5th fret of the low E and bridge your ring finger across the 7th fret. If you want to play the full major chord, index finger bridged across the neck at the 5th fret, ring finger and pinky finger at the 7th fret of the A and D string, and middle finger at the 6th fret of the G string. So we have and so that's that main kind of intro and chorus riff. And then when we get to the verse, we're going to play a major bar chord, but we're going to probably play more of the lower strings. You can kind of play it full, but it sounds a little bit more like we're playing the bottom 4 strings. And it's just going to be kind of strummed. So it's not like a fast-paced type of punk strumming. It's just kind of a back and forth kind of strumming. So, and you're going to hear those lower strings mostly, and then you're going to periodically hit the higher strings. So then we're going to go to a power chord form with our index finger rooted at the 5th fret of the A string and ring finger bridged across the 7th fret of the D, G, and B strings this time. So it's more than a 3-note power chord. It's actually a 4-note major chord, which looks very similar to a power chord. And if you have trouble playing the 4-note version, you can play the 3-note version. So. And then we're just going to go back to that first chord again. So major chord rooted at the 7th fret of the low E. And then we're going to move down to a major chord. So you keep your fingers in the same form down to the 5th fret. So far in the chorus we have. Then we're going to do a major chord rooted at the 3rd fret of the low E. And then right before we switch, there's this kind of intermediary chord where we go to the 5th fret major chord. So. Before it finishes at a power chord rooted at the 5th fret of the A string. And again, this is also a major chord if you play the 4-string version. So slowly through that chorus we have. And then it goes back into that chorus chord progression. So again, with that verse part again, all the way through slowly. All right, so the last one we have for today is I Don't Care About You by Fear off of the record. And it goes like this. So we're going to start off with a 3-note power chord rooted at the 5th fret of the A string. And then we're going to go down to a power chord rooted at the 5th fret of the low E string. Then up to a power chord rooted at the 7th fret of the A string. So. And there's a little bit of palm muting at this build-up part. And if you don't know how to palm mute, basically you're just taking your palm of your hand and you're kind of moving it a little bit tighter to the strings to kind of mute them instead of letting it ring all the way through. So if we play it all the way through without palm mute, it sounds like. If we do a palm mute, We gently place our palm on the strings, and it kind of mutes them. This is something you just kind of have to develop the feel for. With practice, you'll figure out the amount of pressure you have to put on the strings to get the desired result. So again, we have... And if you want to try and play the fills that they play in here, you can. If not, you can just keep riding that chord here. But the guitar player does this fill with octaves that goes like this before he goes into the verse. So what an octave is we're playing two of the same notes. So we're going to play an E at the 7th fret of the A string and an E at the 9th fret of the G string. So they're two of the same notes an octave apart. And so that's what it sounds like, but we want to be able to strum it. So in order to do that without having interference from the string that's in between them, the D string, see, it sounds bad when you do that. We're going to use the underside of our index finger to mute that in-between string. So it sounds like that when we strum all three strings. So again, it's a similar form to the power chord, except you're muting that in-between string. So it goes 7th root, 5th root, 4th root, 2nd root. And then it goes into the verse rhythm. So the intro part slowly with the fill is... And then we go into the verse. And the verse is going to be a power chord, palm muted, rooted at the 2nd fret of the A string. So we're going to play our normal power chord. We're going to do palm muting. And we're going to play all downstrokes. And for the most part, we're just going to be playing the A string and the D string. This is going to be a 2-note power chord. And then there's another fill here. And if you want to play the fill, you can. If you don't, you can just kind of play the power chords. So you can play that fill, or you can just play the power chords. Can play it like that. So basically what I'm doing if I just play the power chords is I'm palm muting and then I'm just releasing the palm mute for those accents. And so for the fill, we're just playing the 4th fret of the G string to the 4th fret of the D string. And when you're playing these chords, I like to remove my index finger. That will deaden that A string that we don't want ringing through that. So. And then it transitions back into the chorus. And then at the very end, there's another fill. If you want to just stay on that chord, you can just stay on that chord. And before it goes back into the chorus, or you can add the fill. And basically for the fill, he just slides up to the 9th fret of the D string, 7th fret D string, then 9th fret A string, and then goes back into the chorus. So what that last time through slowly sounds like. So let's hear that whole thing through slowly. So that's it for this one. I hope you like the songs I selected and they get you going playing some fun stuff right away. And if you're liking this video, remember to subscribe and like. That way you get notified when I post new content. I post new videos like this several times a week. And check out my website, ScottO'BrienGuitar.com. I have the tab for hundreds of punk, rock, and grunge songs up there, as well as my beginner guitar course, which is on sale for a limited time. It's a 10-video series that takes you from scratch, never playing guitar before, all the way up to rock and roll proficiency. The videos are very easy and fun to follow. There's cool songs to play along with. And I'll see you guys next time.